Okay, everybody. Happy Monday. And Tam and Kay. 1, 2, 3. Carol should be right behind. What happened now? All right, Chico, hold on. Well, we gotta think of Michelle's daughter's dog died and she can't talk tonight. So another dog. Kind of sad to happens. So prayers out to Michelle's daughter. Oh yeah. Oh Terry, you got in early. That's good. We had a lot of views last night, so that was good. Everybody's starting to find me, I think. Paul, I got a lot of good stuff today. Okay, Lucy, you beat our team bad last night. Not fair.
You have to have permission.
Hey, Tim. Okay. Get everybody in here. We'll wait a few more minutes. Chico, we're ready to start. No, you lay down now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get logged into Telegram. No more. So we got Creative Path. Welcome and thanks for supporting my channel. Let's be respectful. That's all I ask. Thank you. No, start. I gave you your stuff already. No. What? What do you want? Okay, log in the Telegram. 837. So we got. Oh, what did I just? Okay. I got a couple photos here. Do a couple photos before we start. Oh, I got my. Hang on a second. Dude is hiding somewhere. I gotta find dude's pillow. My other dog, the first one that started. But yeah, I got a couple photo shots. Are you old follower? I can't remember the name. I don't know if you heard about my mom and dad died about a year and a half ago. My anxiety got bad and I couldn't go to her funeral. I don't know why they do this. How they do this on every 17 number. Hey, Kay, I got 17 in here. 17 and 17. Oh. Here's another photo of the list of everybody. There's only one X. So there's 12. Oh, thanks, yep. We lost for doing my show. If it wasn't for my show, I would have never made it through. Just staying busy and keep fighting to get through all this, and got a lot of support and everything. Thanks. My times are 5 o'clock during the week. So these are the three judges. You guys see that? Uh, okay, we got our TikTok lady.
It's not just bad news, it's disastrous.
I can't remember.
New York's top law enforcer, the self-proclaimed defender of justice, is now neck deep in a scandal straight out of a crime drama. Her own grandniece, a wanted fugitive with a long rap sheet, has been living under Auntie Tish's roof. The same roof, by the way, now at the center of a federal indictment. So what's James going to say? That she was too busy chasing Trump to notice a fugitive in her own house? Too obsessed with political theater to recognize the real crime scene was on her front porch? This is the woman who went to war over bookkeeping entries, but turned a blind eye to a mother accused of enabling minors, possibly her own children, to commit crimes. Letitia James, the nation's loudest voice on accountability, caught harboring a fugitive while facing her own bank fraud charges. And just wait, believe it or not, there's more. Tim Walz just got caught allowing illegal immigrants to check a box at the polls for their preferred political candidates, all while at the same time, liberal Supreme Court justices are being called out for saying racist comments made on record this morning in front of the entire court. The left is panicking over the 2026 midterms, and I've got it all for you here today. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, before we dive into Letitia's shocking criminal family saga, let's listen to Eric Trump, who reacted to the explosive news that James is harboring a fugitive. Oh, she certainly found herself all right. Letitia James now accused of housing a cop-hating fugitive, a convicted felon with a rap sheet a mile long, right in her Virginia home. The same home she listed as her primary residence while actually living in New York. Meet 36-year-old Nakia Thompson, Tisha's grandniece, living under her aunt's roof in Virginia with her 3 children in tow. And Thompson is not exactly the kind of neighbor that anybody wants living next door. I mean, she's been arrested twice just while living there for assaulting police officers. And it gets worse. She's also wanted in North Carolina for skipping out on her parole after a 2011 arrest. Fleeing the state made her a full-blown fugitive. Court documents show she was charged with malicious conduct by a prisoner, a felony, by the way, plus assault of a government official and resisting a public officer. So 2 felonies, to be exact. I mean, honestly, she's the poster child for the left's soft on crime approach. And it doesn't stop there. Since fleeing in Virginia in 2020, Thompson has racked up new charges: possession of burglary tools, grand larceny, and even contributing to the delinquency of a minor 3 times, by the way. Now, she's had some misdemeanors dropped, sure, but she's also piled up 9 separate vehicle offenses, including as recently as this summer, and 4 of which she racked up in just one day. Remember, she's responsible for 3 children. Now, this is the same property that is currently at the center of a federal indictment accusing James of lying on her mortgage to get a better rate. Prosecutors say she claimed the home wasn't being rented while her fugitive grandniece was living there rent-free. So maybe it's time to tack on harboring a fugitive to her growing list of potential charges.
I got a second part. I'll do the other ones later. I'll move on to the other ones.
Director of Elections just admitted on the record that illegal immigrants are participating in our elections. You have to see the reaction from the Oversight Committee. I mean, it is pure shock. The representative questioning him, she looks like she knew what was happening, but could not believe a Democrat actually just said it out loud. And just to set it up for you, the reason this was even possible in the first place is because Governor Tim Walz signed a bill back in 2023 that basically turned driver's license into a free-for-all, open season for anyone, legal or not. And once an illegal immigrant has that license, the door to the ballot box just swings wide open. Here's Minnesota's Director of Elections making the bombshell admission just yesterday. Do you feel vindicated? I mean, just like that, Trump was right about everything again. You knew it. I knew it. But for years, we were told it was all a conspiracy, that there was no proof to back up that claim. Well, not anymore. And something tells me the luck is only getting started, because 2026 is shaping up to be a political reckoning. Watch this. Think about it. Every election cycle, Republicans are forced to climb uphill. They're fighting Democrat gerrymandering, the race-based districting under the Voting Rights Act, and now illegal voters being slipped into the rolls. But imagine what happens when all 3 of those things get wiped out. Democrats get decimated. And Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she knows her party's in big trouble. So this morning, in a shocking display of twisted logic, she actually suggested that Black Americans should be treated the same as disabled people when drawing congressional districts. And Democrats wonder why they're hemorrhaging minority support. Take a listen.
The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
That's the left's dirty little secret. They don't see Black Americans as equals. They see them as perpetual victims, always in need of saving, always dependent on government to level the playing field. It's not about compassion. It's about control. Because as long as the left keeps Black Americans feeling powerless, they stay loyal. Perpetual victims make Democrats the heroes and keep them in power. Now listen, as Justice Sotomayor's argument for race-based congressional districts gets absolutely shredded in front of the entire court this morning. Take a look.
Reason to think that a racial group is being treated
here too. You have proof of that here.
No, you don't. What you have here is that Republicans and Democrats are different. There's no
You have some that even white Republicans or white Democrats won't vote for Black candidates.
right, but if these were
Okay. Well, we all knew about that. So the next one, I can't remember, Kay, if we played it.
The Canadian government has created for my benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have an officer in the court.
I gotta see if I can turn it up.
Okay. All right. Crow, we have it. It's not identified themselves by name, but
Oh, can't play that one. Gotta play another one. Kim. You're not getting no more. Chico, no. You go chew on your bone. Go chew on your bone. No. This one's shut up. No. You got enough treats. This one I'm not sure on this one. It's 5 minutes. So let me know and I'll stop it.
So Portugal and Spain here are basically completely blanketed in a similar fashion to the UK. You'll see a couple of videos on
This is the one I was telling you about.
blanketing of UK with chemtrails on my channel. So I think this is a weapon for the totalitarian control of the Western world and eventually the whole world. Since it's just one weapon in their arsenal to bring in totalitarian state and the digital prison. Geoengineering is world dominance by a very small group of people currently in control of the Western world who
What do you think,
want
man?
total dominance of all the peoples of the world and obviously all the resources. And geoengineering as a whole is the arsenal, if you like, that they're using both to displace people, create the digital prison through the properties of stratospheric aerosol injection, particulates, particularly aluminium, which gets into everything, plants, animals, humans. So for the normal person, this would be insanity. But for the people in control, it is just desire. So geoengineering as a whole, non-compliant states around the world will suffer if they do not comply. have seen in the past how cyclones have been manipulated. You'll see some examples of that on my channel. Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org is a very good place to go for resources. What you're seeing here is just insane. I really do feel for the people of Portugal and Spain. They seem to cop an awful lot of this. Keep in mind that this is a long-term plan. Digital IDs are being rolled out now, which is terrible. You see these close-ups here, just mind-boggling. People travelling with all these chemicals, unwittingly paying for the spraying. That must look terrible from below. There's your overall shot there. This cloud began in the early morning, but you can see the difference there between the toxic cloud and the natural cloud.
What do you guys think of this one?
It's insane. As a people, we need to stand up globally on this, not just thinking of our own countries.
Lucy,
because if we look that small,
you were very nice last night.
We will never be able to stop it because the divisions between countries are too great. We all need to band together as nations, as the peoples of nations. Spread this around so that people get a real understanding of what's going on. It's the only way it'll stop. So what you're seeing here is the day before. So this is where it started, and it ran through the night into what you've just seen. Thank you for watching through Satellite Eyes.
So that was interesting. I think that was the chemtrails or something. Yep. I don't know. They might repeat as champions. They look good.
You are. Trust Sessions?
About 4 minutes.
Yep. The silent blade that bled the deep state and unleashed the global reckoning. Jeff says Sessions wasn't a failure. He was a weapon. His, quote, betrayal of President Trump in 2017 was a staged operation, a kayfabe, masterstroke that allowed John Huber and John Durham to launch the largest covert investigation in modern history. Today, over 600,000 sealed indictments stand ready to be unleashed worldwide. A global shutdown is now imminent. While the masses swallowed media theater and fake scandals, a silent war raged beneath the surface. It began not with tanks or missiles, but with sealed indictments, covert probes, and military precision. The forgotten spark? Jeff Sessions. What looked like betrayal in 2017 was in fact a strategic chess move by President Trump. It never ended. It grew. It became the heartbeat of a planetary operation, now finally reaching critical mass. Jeff Sessions, the shadow strike. That one line from the Q drops divided the awake from the asleep. While the media mocked Sessions as weak and disloyal, patriots looked deeper. Sessions secretly empowered John Huber with nationwide prosecutorial power and grand jury access in every single state and direct military intelligence support. Alongside him, John Durham, the slow blade that cuts deepest, began tearing into the Clinton Foundation, the 2016 election fraud, and the Russian hoax. Over 470 investigators fed evidence of sedition, treason, trafficking, election interference, bioweapon collusion into a unified command. By the end of this phase, tens of thousands of indictments were ready. Sessions wasn't a traitor. He was the blade in the shadows. The global phase The Earth Alliance now on the move. This war is global. 600,000 sealed indictments are prepared for unsealing, implicating corrupt politicians, CEOs, royals, media barons, and NGO fronts. The Earth Alliance is coordinating the strike. Their mission, surgical removal of deep state power centers. Expect worldwide military lockdown, not chaos, but controlled demolition of a centuries-old cabal. The strategic betrayal. President Trump's attacks on Sessions were deliberate misdirection. Kayfabe, a fake feud to shield the operation, preserve deniability, and keep Sessions invisible while the indictment infrastructure was built. What comes next? Next, total shutdown. Military alerts will escalate, arrests will surface, tribunals will be broadcast, assets will be seized, media will be neutralized. The entire storm traces back to Sessions, absorbing the hate, playing the fool, and moving silently. Conclusion, from silence to storm. Next time someone mocks Jeff Sessions, remind them the betrayal was camouflaged.
Okay, that was a good one. I think Ann likes that one. Come on, check YouTube. Oh, she has a 3-minute one there. Okay.
Models to work with.
Now, there's another space that I can say about in regards to things changing very quickly, and God willing, let that be Iran. The murder of activist Ahmed Salak, 22 years old, who burned a photo of the supreme leader. Now, the government-controlled media here are saying that he killed himself. A gunshot wound to the head, gunpowder on his hands. I call complete, total, and utter bullshit. You all know it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. He was killed because he took a stand against a regime that is there illegally, immorally, that has no right, who kills its own people, stands for death and destruction. They are terrorists. And he was brave enough to stand up to them, and he gave his life. But off the back of that tragedy, something is brewing. Something is brewing. Look at this man in his Air Force uniform, showing unbelievable courage. I'll show you a little bit in a second, but let me translate it for you. This is what he says. If we die one by one, it's better than to give our country to the enemy. He calls the regime in this speech to camera the mortal enemy of Iran's history, culture, flag, and people. He says there's an uprising. He pledges allegiance to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Have a quick listen.
The noble people of Iran have the right, in the event of such a situation, and if His Majesty Reza Shah Pahlavi deems it necessary to announce through the media, to move past and overthrow the false and criminal regime of the clerical state, and join hands in armed struggle against the mercenary oppressors. Promoting and disseminating this statement is an act of sacrifice and striving for the blossoming and greatness of the Iranian nation.
And he's not alone either. Images are being shared all over socials of people burning photos of Khamenei, the Islamic regime's supreme leader. This is insane bravery, even if you are not in Iran at the moment. As we know from the incredible Jimmy Shamad, they can take you anywhere. They can get you anywhere. So even if you're not in Iran and you are doing this, you are so brave. So brave. Have a quick look at some of these heroes. So please, God, let this be it. We know there's a water crisis. We know the regime is weak off the back of the 12-day war. We know the consequences for people standing up, but they can't fight all of you.
Please, God, let this be it. The Iranian people deserve their country back. And there are so many people and so many nations that are willing to help. Please let this be it.
Okay, that was only a short one. She got long ones all the time. Okay, we got, I don't know if we played George. George is 8 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Staten Island is about to become a pain in the butt for Comrade Mamkami. They say it's the forgotten bureau of New York City. People always talk about Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, but never Staten Island. When I think of Staten Island, what comes to my head first is, hey, I'm walking here. It's the most New York part of New York. Can't we just take New York from Zoran Mamdani and these commie-crats and just give it back to the Italian mob? Like Don Corleone, we could just make him an offer he can't refuse. Look how they massacred my boy. You spent time with your family? Good. Because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. I think we need Mayor Al Pacino. Anyways, elected officials in Staten Island are channeling their inner Moses. They're saying, let our people go. They don't want to be part of Zoran Mamdani's communist utopia. They are reintroducing legislation for Staten Island to secede from what they fear will become the People's Republic of Mamdani. The Democratic Socialists could not be further out of sync with the values of communities on Staten Island.
Can you check
and I'd argue that this time around, Democrats don't want to stop the Bureau's secession because it would make it even less likely New York City ever elects a Republican mayor again. That's a very good point. Staten Island is the most Republican bureau in New York City. Democrats see it as a massive obstacle to their agenda. It's the only part of New York holding them accountable. Representative Lanza from Staten Island has been pushing his secession bill since 2008, and it's seen little traction. But the rest of the Big Apple has swung so far left that there could be common ground, even among Democrats, to separate the 4 other boroughs from Staten Island's predominantly moderate and GOP voting base. I think the timing is right, and it would be great not only for Staten Island, but for the city of New York. So Sam Pirozzolo and Lanza held a rally on Richmond Road on Friday, which symbolically on July 9th, 1776, was where the Declaration of Independence was first read on Staten Island to British soldiers. That's Sam Pirozzolo, the state assemblyman of Staten Island, reading that Declaration of Independence. We, the citizens of Staten Island, declare, when in the course of civic events it becomes necessary for one bureau to dissolve the political bonds which have connected it with a distant and unresponsive government, we should declare the causes which impel us to seek separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that Staten Islanders are free citizens, entitled to representation, fairness, and respect, that when a government becomes destructive of those ends, it is the inalienable right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government deriving its powers from the consent of the governed. For too long, the people of Staten Island have endured neglect and inequity at the hands of New York City's leadership. Our taxes are collected eagerly, yet our roads crumble, our ferries falter, and our small businesses suffocate under regulations written for other boroughs. We are taxed as if we were Manhattan, but treated as if we were expendable. We will not be taxed because of who we are, and we will no longer be ignored because of where we live. City Hall, instead of serving all 5 boroughs equally, has capitulated to the growing influence of socialist ideologies who seek to reshape New York into a laboratory for their failed political experiments. They promote policies that demonize law enforcement, crush working-class homeowners, and drain opportunity from communities that value hard work and independence. The city no longer represents a balance of voices. It represents an ideology that punishes dissent and rewards extremism. We have petitioned time and again for fairness, for reliable transportation, for safe streets, and for our local voices to be heard. Our pleas have been ignored, our votes diluted, and our character dismissed. Staten Island has spoken clearly in elections, referenda, and civic debates, yet the government's ruling class treats us as an obstacle to their agenda. The 1998 referendum showed the will of Staten Islanders to govern ourselves. But that will was denied by a system designed to silence us. It has become clear that our continued union with New York City no longer serves liberty, justice, or reason. Therefore, we, the people of Staten Island, appealing to the good sense of our fellow New Yorkers and the justice of our cause, solemnly declare that the Bureau of Staten Island ought to be a free and self-governing entity. We seek not division for its own sake, but independence to preserve our values of faith, family, safety, and self-determination against a city that has surrendered them to socialism. With firm reliance on our Creator and on each other, we mutually pledge our commitment to build a Staten Island that reflects the will of its people, strong, sovereign, and free. That's an awesome declaration of independence. Wonder where they got the inspiration from. Here you have people signing.
So tasty, it could make Poseidon switch to a spoon. Holy divine taste from the Greek gods.
At Lumber Liquidators, we have the best prices on flooring, and we guarantee it. Find a lower price, we will beat it with our best price.
The petition, everyone in Staten Island wants to be free. Andrew Lanza said he plans to put the foot to the pedal on the bill in January. His legislation would not require approval from the New York City Council or a citywide referendum, though he said he would welcome letting Staten Islanders vote again on the issue. He says, "We are not declaring war on Manhattan or the rest of New York City, but elections should have some consequences." Staten Island has been wanting independence since the 40s. The closest they came was in 1993, when voters overwhelmingly backed a non-binding secession referendum by 65%. It was the New York Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver who refused to advance the required home rule message from the city council. Staten Island has 500,000 residents. It's New York's smallest borough, but as an independent city, it would become the second largest municipality in the state. It would have a higher population than Miami, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Oakland, California, and Cleveland, Ohio. New York City Councilman Frank Morano is drafting legislation directing the city to study the economic impact of Staten Island becoming an independent municipality. He estimated that 60% of his constituents support secession, but said he worries that a breakup could lead to higher taxes if the Bureau must create its own police, fire, and education departments. Yeah, but it's a price worth paying. Plus, I think the federal government would be fully behind this. At the same time, I completely understand why so many people feel taken for granted by the rest of the city and want out. This bill is meant to be a balanced approach. Morano said he ultimately wants voters to have the final word. Staten Island should be able to decide its own fate. It's the most frustrating thing in the world for Staten Islanders to vote for elected officials, vote for certain policies, and no matter how we vote, we are dismissed by policymakers by the rest of the city. The process is pretty simple for Staten Island. Step one is already complete, which is building grassroots support and introducing legislation. Then the New York legislature authorizes a feasibility study, and that's actually feasible. New York City Democrats would love to have complete control of the city. They probably wouldn't hold Staten Island back. Then Staten Island voters will hold a non-binding referendum. Then the state legislature would approve the charter. Then it's just about implementation at that point. Man. Free Staten Island. From the river to the sea, they deserve to be free. I sincerely want this to happen. A free Staten Island would be safe, would have better schools, businesses would move there, and Zoran Mamdani's New York will be broke. Schools will be down in the gutter. Taxes will be through the roof. It'll just be the biggest difference ever. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to see that. Not only that, if they leave New York City, Mamdani's probably going to be begging his voters for money again. I'm always optimistic, so I can see this happening. But what do you guys think? Thank you all very much for watching. God bless.
Okay, that's a good one from George. I got a 3-minute clip, and then we got 2 cash videos coming up. Oh, what did I do that for? Adam 50.
Tonight, because you know what? I'd like to do a good deed for the day, Grant. I would like to give him to Maryland. I think that would be a gift that they can keep. We don't need Adam Schiff in California anymore.
No, look, if he wants to run for Senate in Maryland, that's probably the state he should live in. So, Jennifer, if you can, his studio apartment that he has, the 700 square feet, is not far from the radio station where we broadcast from in Glendale, California. Give me a little background of Adam Schiff and California. Do you think he's lived in California for a long time or in Maryland for a long time?
Oh, I know for a fact that he has not lived in California for a long time. And I can tell you this because I have been a constituent of Adam Schiff's for a very long time. I've lived in his district my entire life, and he has represented me not well in the House of Representatives. And here's the thing, Grant, I think he lived there for a little while, but boy, since 2009, 2010, I don't think he's been anywhere near Southern California. He had, as you mentioned, this little tiny place in Burbank, 500, 600 square feet right up the street from his office. And he'd come back literally once a year. We would see him in Southern California. He would ride in like a local 4th of July parade. And I know he was there because one of the headlines one year was that he got hit in the head with a water balloon.
So people throw water balloons at him, yet he still wins the Senate race. Amazingly, I do think the Democrats set it up for him for whatever reason. He was in line. Let me play this clip of reporters going after him about this mortgage fraud issue. Take a look at this, and I'll ask you if this is par for the course for Adam Schiff.
Senator, do you have a response to Trump saying you're guilty of mortgage fraud? Do you have any response? Senator, why did you decide to make your primary residence Maryland for 10 years, for a decade, not California? Any comment on Trump accusing you of mortgage fraud, sir? Any response?
Is that par for the course for him, Jen?
I'll tell you what, when was the last time you've seen Adam Schiff walk away from a microphone? The guy loves microphones. He loves podiums. He loves to talk. This is how you know you have him, when he is just shutting up and walking along. So I don't know. I think there's either mortgage fraud here, or as you suggested, there's election and voter fraud. Pick your poison, Adam, because both of these things, it may not be able to be true at the same time, but they can certainly be true all by themselves. He's been voting in California. He's been running in California for decades, and he continues to get the value of living outside of the state he claims to represent for the lower taxes. It's ridiculous.
Okay, Adam Schiff.
Oh, that's a lot of people. Oh, the police are running. Ooh. Oh, this ain't peaceful. Wow, this is crazy. This is like an all-out brawl between police and these rioters. Oh, look, they got riot shields. Oh, that guy just threw something. This is bad. Oh, now the rioters are on the attack again. Okay, they're throwing rocks. That's not right. Oh, and now they're trying to flank these guys. This is happening outside the presidential palace in Mexico. And apparently this is happening over cartel-related control of the country's government. That's what people are very upset about. Look, they are waving their national flags, which is something that you typically don't see at a protest in America. Look, there's the presidential palace. That's a big building, man. They are trying to get inside, and it looks like is that guy carrying a machete? Ooh, this is wild. And you don't hear any sirens because apparently all the police are here. Like, this is where the action is. This is crazy. These rioters, they just don't stop. Oh, they're coming back in. They are coming back in over there. Wow. It's like the crowd hits on one angle, and then they kind of regroup, and then they go again. Look, they're kind of cornering the police who are throwing back rocks, and now they've been able to make their way over to the actual barriers that were erected to keep them out, and they've got an angle grinder. They are not taking no for an answer. They are going to cut through that steel and breach this barrier or climb over it. Look at this. This is crazy. And look, there's slogans all over this Berlin Wall that the Mexican government has set up to protect itself, I guess. Look, they're shaking it, trying to tear it down. A lot of people in Mexico are very upset about the impact cartels have on their country. They're not getting a fair deal if corruption is telling their government how to treat them. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to work. What are they doing now? They're trying to pull the wall down. They're throwing things inside of it at the police, which is awful. This is just absolutely out of control. Oh, did that guy just throw something in there? Yeah, they're throwing all kinds of stuff in here. And now, now they're using crowd control to try and disperse people. Oh, they got the barrier. The barrier's been breached. Oh, this is bad. They are going in. Are they going in? Yep, he's waving them in. Ooh, that was a pipe that just hit that guy's shield. They are throwing stuff. Okay, now they got crowd control barriers, and they are going to stuff those barriers in here. Wow. This is insane. This is just absolutely crazy. They've got this breach. You can see the police back there with their riot shields. People are filming it, making TikToks. There is so much footage of this out there. It's absolutely insane how many people captured this, which is interesting. It's like people knew this protest was coming. Now I guess this is on the other side of those steel barriers. Yep. And look at this. Now they're trying to break this riot police phalanx and actually get inside the presidential palace. This just does not stop. Those rioters are tenacious. Look, they got bicycle helmets. They are ready to go. Wow. They're jumping at the shields. This is just bad news. This is just bad news. All around, this is bad news, man. Because you know what? There's going to be a crackdown. Something. Ooh, I just heard an explosion. I guess the only question is, who's the crackdown going to come from? Is it coming from the population of Mexico against their own government? Look, that guy's got a chain. Okay, now there's more people trying to climb this barrier. Oh. I guess the gas they're using is, perhaps not that big of a deal. It doesn't seem to be deterring the crowd at all. Just like Portland, Oregon in the United States, where it doesn't deter the crowds and the mobs. This is so crazy. It's insane to think that something like this is happening in a country that has been run the same way for so long. And that's part of this. There are people in Mexico who are emboldened by President Trump's stance against the cartels, that are emboldened by the idea that these cartels are bad for Mexico and that shutting the U.S. border disempowers them. It takes away their power they retain in sanctuary areas of Mexico that their own military isn't allowed to go and defeat. Okay, now they removed a bigger section of the wall. Oh, now what's happening? They're doing the same thing. They got the crowd control barrier. Oh, that's some smoke coming out of there, man. It's probably some sort of chemical irritant meant to disperse crowds. It's not working. You can see all the slogans written on this fence. It's like the fence was defaced in advance of this insurrection. Okay, that guy's going in, and now he's going out. This guy's throwing stuff. This is so wild, man. It's hard to understand how you have a peaceful resolution in a conflict where both sides think that they are just at war with each other, where the people think they are at war with their government. Okay, now what's going on? They're like pulling another section of the fence to make the breach wider, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So everyone can kind of rush in at once over here. This is crazy.
The president of Mexico is furious. She's calling
I'm
Mexican
sure she is.
Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the politicians. That includes President Scheinbaum.
Power your wellness and fuel your adventures with Solaray's high absorption magnesium glycinate.
Get Ahead of Lead. It's a new initiative to help families reduce lead in their drinking water.
Ooh.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, "It's not a minor issue that a senator gave an interview to a foreign media outlet calling for intervention."
That senator risked her existence to give this interview on Fox News. And she's given 2 of these interviews. And every time she talks about how the people of Mexico are not okay with government corruption in their country anymore.
Is Mexico a state?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested.
Look at all those cartels.
Can you explain this alliance
cartels everywhere.
between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians to get into office, to get the power.
Just like corrupt business interests and corrupt foreign interests potentially impact the way politicians think about certain issues in America. Except only here, we're talking about a criminal empire that wants to help no one but itself.
So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels. That
It's a
is
sanctuary
why
for
President
cartels.
Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels.
Wow.
And also Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to be the next Venezuela.
That is bad
She's
news.
aligned with Venezuela's dictator, with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state. And
so here's something that people don't understand about border security along the U.S.-Mexico border. That open border empowers these criminal organizations. Shutting the border, closing it, takes away the power they have, which comes from money and which comes from their ability to make billions. They were making $13 billion a year, these cartels, off illegal immigration. Take that away, now they can't finance themselves. Now they can't corrupt other countries in South and Central America. Now they can't control politicians, allegedly including the president of Mexico, according to this senator.
Why is she so resistant? She sort of speaks out of 2 sides of her mouth. We're working with you, Trump, and then she's chastising you for saying, we need more help from the United States to crush the cartels.
Because it's fake.
because she really doesn't want the help of the United States. She is lying to Mexican people, telling Mexican people that the United States will get in control of the whole country.
Right.
I never listened such nonsense from
I'm sure there's
President
people in
Trump.
Mexico who want that.
What we have listened is that President Trump wants to help Mexican people against the cartels.
Right.
Mexican people are suffering. So what they do is very, very little. We have huge politicians here in the Senate, in the presidents, governors. Mexico is a very dangerous place.
Well, that brings me to—
So how is it safe if the status quo continues over there? If the status quo continues over there and criminals are empowered and they have a cartel sanctuary of a country that's got cartels all over the place. I mean, just look at this map. There's cartels everywhere. If that continues, how are the regular people there going to get a fair deal? If that's who's running the place and that's who controls this territory. You know that when illegal immigrants want to come to the United States, they travel through all that cartel territory you see on that map right there. They got to pay every single gang in the entire country just to get here. Even if you open the U.S. border and you say anybody that can come here wants to, you get rid of the wall, you make it legal for people to come here. Those cartels that you got to travel through all their territory, they're still going to make money. You're not going to shut them down by opening the borders. So this idea that border security empowers criminal organizations because illegal immigration is illegal, that's stupid. Whether you have a border wall or not, these cartels are going to be in power until something happens in Mexico to shut them down.
Are you afraid for your life?
Probably.
Yes, I am afraid.
It's terrible,
and the
man.
president has threatened me to proceed against me with criminal
Oh.
prosecution, to get me out of the Senate and get me in jail just because I told you in this space in Fox News what is the reality of our country with the cartels. The cartels are dominating everything here in Mexico. They are in all the offices of the government.
That explains why whenever there's a Mexican military operation that they film and put on the news about how they're going to go find cartels and shut them down, the cartels always seem to be just fine after the operation because they know about it. They know when law and order is coming so that things can happen in a way that maintains the status quo and lets corruption continue as usual, apparently.
States, in the cities, and in the national government. So, of course, I am afraid, but I want people to know I will not step back. And I pray under God's guidance that we, the United States and Mexico, must work together to defeat the cartels and to get freedom for our country, for Mexico, to stop it from being the next Venezuela.
Why would that be bad? Why do we need another Venezuela in the world? We don't. We don't need another country run by cartels. Apparently we have one here. This senator says that their country is not even a free place to live, which explains the dire conditions many people in Mexico have to deal with from a safety perspective. What do you think about that? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, that one was... I don't know, you guys don't want me to play the second? You guys don't like cast videos? The next one is New York he's going to be talking about. So I don't know if you guys want me to continue your second video. There's only 2 videos he does every day. Should I play the second one, you guys? Okay.
Safety, quality of life.
So, while New York City progressives cheer the election of an avowed socialist, the rest of America is sounding the alarm as the new mayor's made it clear he wants to make big changes to the way New York City attempts to stop crime. Changes critics say will make their way across the country after they happen here, leading to danger levels never before seen in America.
Here in New York City, officials say of the tens of thousands of retail thefts a year, 30% are committed by just 327 criminals.
The NYPD says it's that group of criminals arrested and rearrested 6,000 times.
Undocumented criminals as young as 11 years old are carrying out retail robberies and committing crimes on scooters, snatching people's jewelry, watches, and cell phones at knife point.
I will not defund the police. I will work with the police.
He aligned himself with the Democratic Socialists of America. Their platform is real out there. Basically, as public safety. Do away with prisons and the cops are bad.
Homeless outreach workers are pleading with a man. Others approach another man who refuses to move. Just this morning, we saw 3 people sprawled out across the seats, sleeping on board a crowded number 2 train.
When we do make arrests and we're able to charge them on 4, 5, 6 incidents, when they go before a judge in New York City, they're released on their own recognizances.
At CarParts.com, quality is our standard. Our end-of-line testing ensures every part meets that standard. Plus, many of our products are...
So, as New York City's outgoing mayor touts a record drop in crime, supposedly, it might not mean much because you see, here's a graph of violent crime in New York, and yeah, we're up pretty high. A little dip. Does it really matter? Yeah, most people would say no. And what nobody's talking about is even if somebody else were the mayor coming into New York City. The fact that we have decriminalized the behavior of bad guys means the writing is already on the wall for this city, where behavior that used to reward someone with a jail and a jumpsuit now results in 0 consequences, completely explaining why New York City's criminal element isn't reforming itself, as it sees no reason to change behavior that isn't just swept under the rug, but is actively protected by judges and prosecutors who drop felonies and only go after misdemeanors. And if it's your goal to get as few felony convictions as possible, that is going to do wonders for the official crime statistics. Crime statistics that tell a very different story from the reality average New Yorkers experience each and every day in this city. On top of that, it's now getting colder. And during the winter months, New York's perpetually neglected homeless sadly have to take refuge down in the subway because nobody in charge seems to be able to figure out how to get people in need off the streets. Which brings us to the real reason experts suggest crime in this city is about to get even worse. Things are already bad. Nobody knows what they're doing. And now we have a mayor who's coming into office with a plan to decriminalize even more illegal behavior, while creating a Department of Public Safety, a progressive nanny force, which some say will eventually phase out the NYPD. And while they'll be totally unable to stop dangerous criminals from doing their thing, they will be able to act as a money-generating machine for socialist policies like frozen rent and government-run grocery stores by issuing nonstop tickets to the law-abiding, who are now trying to get away from New York City in record numbers, heading for states like Florida and Texas so we can afford things like free buses, apparently.
Teenage troubles going full tilt here at this bus stop after school in Queens, where a machete and a were used as weapons on a bus.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm not getting on that bus. And whether it's a bus or a subway car, if a criminal singles you out, there's nobody around to keep you safe most of the time. A problem that gets worse every single year because every single year New York City does less to keep repeat offenders off the streets.
We're now learning the suspect has been arrested, drum roll please, 87 times.
This guy you're talking about, 87 priors, not hard to find.
Living in the subway.
He lives on 2 lines. He only is a creature of habit. The cops lock him up. D.A. Bragg, you know his name, cuts him loose time and time again. He's a threat to everybody in that subway system.
So that's the guy who ran for mayor in the latest election and only got 7% of the vote. That means only 7% of the people living here think stopping crime is important. They would rather have free stuff. And people would rather believe that if the city decides to run its own grocery stores with other people's money and decides to lock up even less criminals, this place will turn into some sort of communist utopia. But here's why experts say we might be in for a crime wave never before seen in this country.
What I would not do is demonize the police by calling them wicked and corrupt, by threatening to defund and dismantle them, as Zoran has done. And we are at a 34-year low in the number of police officers. There's only one candidate on this stage, him, who has not said that he would try and build that number back up. So I think his Department of Community Safety, which he talks about, is just backdoor code word for continue to defund the police.
I will not defund the police. I will work with the police because I believe the police have a critical role to play in creating public service, public safety. 65% of crimes in the first quarter of this year are still not solved. We need to ensure police can focus on those crimes and we have mental health.
Okay, so crime's not getting stopped in this city. And the accusation here is that the new mayor who was here in this debate is going to come in and handicap the police. Now, he says he wants to free the police up, but this is only going to happen if you have this public safety division, which where's it going to get its money? Is it going to get its money from the schools, from the fire department, or is its money going to come from the police department? That's the thing that a lot of people here are really worried about. And the new mayor's taking office while we've got another problem. Already the NYPD is having massive recruiting problems. They can't hire enough police, and he's not even in office yet. We've got less cops now than we had 25 years ago. And we're losing 300 officers a month. You know, 25 years ago, criminals went to jail for a whole bunch of stuff that now
allows people to remain on the streets indefinitely, which means we've not only got less police, but they're interacting with criminals more often. They're doing more work than they ever have before, while facing criminals who know there's absolutely nothing the police can even do to them because they keep getting released. But here's the other thing. NYPD starting salaries are $60,000 a year. Now, that might sound like a lot of money, but in a city where average rents are around $4,000 a month, the police of this place, they can't even live in the very neighborhoods they're supposed to take care of. But what about this idea of the new mayor coming in and freezing rent? Couldn't that make things more affordable?
Good morning, Cheryl. Yeah, so we're in a rent stabilized apartment. What that means is the landlord can only increase rent by a certain margin. This is a 4-bedroom. It rents for $1,000. Wow. For those that don't live in New York, to put that in perspective, average 4-bedroom rent in New York City, according to Rent Hop, is closer to $9,000. The tenants have now left, leaving behind about $5,000 in trash, and renovations would cost at least $150K.
There is no way a landlord who can't raise rent is going to pour a few semesters at one of the most expensive colleges in New York into this place to never get that money back. And that brings up a couple of big problems with the new mayor's proposal to freeze rents. The first thing it's going to do, it's going to keep apartments like this off the market perpetually. Landlords aren't going to spend the money to bring these things to market. That means we're going to have more empty apartments than ever that nobody can live in while rents are way too high. That's a bad thing. But here's the other problem. He said he wants to freeze rents. Yes, but only for rent stabilized apartments. Now, not everybody who voted for Mr. Mamdani lives in a rent stabilized apartment. In fact, only about 25% of the apartments in New York City meet this definition, which means 75% of the people who voted for him based on his ideas around freezing rent and bringing down rents, not only will not see any immediate benefit from this idea because they don't live in this type of apartment, but their rents could actually go up. And here's why. If you're a landlord and you've got some apartments in your building that are rent regulated by the government, you don't make much money on these, and then you've got the market rate apartments, you need the rent from all of these apartments to pay your bills, to pay your taxes. And guess what? Your taxes are going up because the new mayor says he wants to tax the rich. So if you've got to use all of your apartments to pay your bills and your taxes go up, but your rents are frozen in some of these units, where are you going to get that money? It's going to have to come from the people living in the market rate apartments. Those are most of the people that voted for this affordability agenda, and their rents are about to get even worse.
It's not worth it. They're going to let this unit sit empty, meaning one less apartment on the market because they can't make money off of it. And meanwhile, the former New York Democratic Assembly member who served alongside Mamdani says if his plan were to go through, it would be the nail in the coffin for this portion of the real estate market.
It's the entire real estate market because all the rents combined go to pay landlords' bills. But you know, something as upset as certain landlords might be about this rent freeze, there's a reason why they'll still be just fine. And that reason is New York City's housing shortage. Only around 1.4% of apartments are even available to be rented in this city. And if you've got a housing shortage, landlords that are forced now to jack up rents on their market rate apartments, well, they're going to be able to do it and they're going to get away with it. You see, they're not going to suffer because of this rent freeze because there are so many people that want these apartments due to the shortage that financially they may even make even more money, shockingly, under a mayor who says he wants them to make less money. But you know, there is a way to make New York City landlords dirt poor. There's a way to take these guys to the poorhouse. And it's to do the one thing that they really don't want, which is to increase competition. If you were to build new apartment buildings across the street from the current apartment buildings, well, that's a terrible thing for some landlord that's been getting $3,000 a month for some terrible little dumpy studio apartment. Because now there's competition. Now there's brand new studios and one bedrooms that people could rent instead. And he would have to bring down his rents of his crummy apartments to make them more affordable. You see, that capitalism is the thing these landlords are really afraid of. Competition is the thing they're really worried about. They're not worried about not being able to raise their rents during a housing shortage because nothing gets built here. They're going to be able to do that just fine. The thing they don't want to do is bring the rent down because new capitalists came in and took them to the cleaners. But sadly, this isn't the only area of New York City that will be immune to free market ideas in the near future. And we might see a whole armada of city-run grocery stores rolled out very soon.
Since these stores don't have to pay rent and they're often tax incentivized, they may have a better chance of succeeding. Yet this advantage didn't help Erie Market in Kansas. Last year, the city had to lease its store to a private entity due to financial
why
struggles.
is that?
Grocery stores, it's a business. Whether you own it or the city owns it, it doesn't matter. If you do not have them pay taxes, and we're zero tax on food now in our grocery stores, that still didn't help us. Zero rent doesn't help us. The city to lease it out was simple. City council, when they bought this store, they really didn't think about the fact that they're going to have to pay city wages, have to pay retirement.
See how great the outdoors can be with the track. You can take the wild out of the wilderness and experience nature your way. Lease a 2026 Trax LT for just $299 a month. Chevy Detroit. Together, let's drive.
Our wholesale partners rely on us for great coffee. We rely on UPS to get it there.
Sick leave.
So you have an inefficient government-run entity that wants to run a grocery store the same way it runs the DMV. And they totally didn't think about all the money they were going to have to pay to operate this place. And this is not a one-off story. City-run grocery stores have been tried in many different parts of America. They've never worked. They've been tried in many different parts of the world, and they lead to more problems than they solve, that's for sure. On top of that, we've got massive theft problems in our grocery stores. A gang of criminals was recently spotted on camera hitting up places and stealing tens of thousands of dollars of meat, assaulting store managers too while they're at it. And these businesses, they're already so low margin that even the smallest issue could tip the scales against them and they could have to shut down.
So many things that the municipalities have got. And just look at the shoplifting. You know, you're going to have it. That's another loss. You can't do anything about it. You got to replace those groceries in order to sell them.
That's right.
Other city-owned grocery stores have met the same fate as Erie Markets. Caney Grocery, located about 70 miles from Erie Market, hasn't been profitable, according to Mayor Josh Elliott, which is why the city is trying to sell it.
Wow.
In 2024, Baldwin Market in Baldwin, Florida, closed its doors due to low customer turnout, according to the Florida Times Union.
You know why customers wouldn't go to a grocery store? What's the number one reason you stop going to a certain store? You walk in, you go to buy something, and you waste your time because the thing you wanted isn't on the shelf. That's the problem that these places have. They're unable to serve customers. They are not competitive, and they're getting robbed blind. There's no security, and every single city that tries one of these has to get rid of it, and they desperately want to sell these things, but even then, they can't sell a lot of the times because what happens? The crime is so bad, no business wants to come in and do it. There was a business there before which started and failed and had a similar business model but was trying to be for profit. It's such a disaster that we're going to set these things up, and we're going to do it by taking money away from people when we already have proof that this stuff isn't going to work. And sadly, this means New Yorkers are in for a trifecta of problems. We're going to have more crime in the near future. That's going to be a big problem. It's already a problem. Rents are going to get even higher in the near future. They're already too high. That's already a big problem. And grocery prices, affordability is not going to change. The affordability equation doesn't adjust itself when the price floor for operating a business is so high that it's already unsustainable. The new mayor wants to have $30 an hour minimum wages. None of this is going to work. I think it's a big disaster. I think we got some real problems. The hope, I guess, that a lot of people have is that the new mayor is going to come in and perhaps he'll change his mind on some of these ambitious items that he wants to accomplish, especially the public safety stuff. What do you think?
Okay, those are the two cast videos. I got two 5-minute ones for JJ, followed by a 7-minute one, and then I got a few Benny. Oh wait, where I'm at here.
What kind of response has there been to investigating?
5 minutes.
Yeah, good evening, Matt. Nice to talk to you. We had an enormous response to the documentary and our coverage on Sky News last week. I had hundreds of emails, and there was lots of discussion about Nanita's story on social media and a lot of sadness about her story. And during the course of making the documentary, So a few questions really came to the fore, and that was the level of care that Nonita was given by her council, her corporate parent, and the NHS and all of the agencies around her. And after we broadcast that story, there was quite a lot of conversation held within Barnet Council, her corporate parent. And at the end of the week, there were calls for an emergency meeting, for the leader of the council to resign, and claims that the council simply did not know about Nonita's story and her case, which is quite remarkable when you think of it. Now, today I spoke to the leader of the Conservative group at Barnet Council, Peter Zinkin, and he told me that the first time he knew about Nonita's death, bearing in mind he is technically a corporate parent, was the night before we broadcast the documentary, and the chief executive wrote to councillors to warn them of what was coming. Here's what he had to tell me earlier today.
I have never seen people so angry about something in the 12 years approximately that I've been a councillor. And they were angry that they didn't know, and that all this had happened, and all these different things had happened, and nobody had had the sense to tell councillors about it.
What did you and your colleagues know about Nonita Grabowskite, her life and her
Are you
death?
this one, JJ?
The answer is very little. In that, just I think before your documentary came out, or as your documentary came out, the chief executive of the council sent a note to all councillors telling us about the documentary, which was the first I personally knew about it.
So just let me be clear then, the leader of the council nor the cabinet member responsible chose to inform councillors?
No.
At key points?
No, at no point.
What do you think about that?
Well, I am cross about it. How could they not tell us? Because if they had told us, we would immediately have asked what happened, whose fault was it? Because that's unfortunately the question that everybody does ask. What have we learned? And are we doing it better now? And that's why we refer to a toxic culture of secrecy and cover-up. Because it may all be fine, it may not. But how are we supposed to know? You know, what's happened has happened, and somebody needs to be held accountable, which is why we have asked for the resignations of the leader of the council and the cabinet member for family-friendly Barnet, as they like to call it.
Now, over the course of the last few days, we've actually learned that since 2022, a total of 3 care leavers in the care of Barnet Council have died, Nonita Grabowskite being one of them. I have no more information about the other 2. But Barnet Council, you know, could be any other council in the country. All councils are severely stretched. But the way that Barnet handled this, there are now some serious questions. And this was raised in Westminster today. Nonita's story raised at the Public Accounts Committee. This is the mention that they had for her today.
You may be aware of the death of Nonita Grabowskite, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, who took her life at 18 after she'd moved out of the children's social care system into the adult social care system. And it seems as though there may be a gap there. She begged her local CAMS for one more meeting before she transferred, and she was denied that. A Sky News analysis found that 91 care leavers aged between 16 to 25 died in the past year alone, almost 2 every week. What should we do about this gap between children's and adult social services to prevent these sad young people losing their lives?
So huge questions now to be asked about who knew what when about the death of 18-year-old Nonita. We know that there were 2 reviews carried out at Barnet Council into lessons that could be learned into her death. Those reviews, crucially, have not been made public, and they were not available to us. We also know that there was a meeting, a corporate parenting meeting where Nonita was mentioned, but nothing more was said. So allegations that there is a culture of silence and cover-up do have to be addressed by Barnet Council. Now, I've been asking that authority for an interview for the last 4 months. Tomorrow, I will sit down with the leader of Barnet Council. We will talk all of this through, and I hope to bring you that tomorrow evening.
Okay, I thought that was an important one for you. And I got second one. Oh, what happened? Oh, I guess I can't play it. Sorry, Jacqueline. I'll get some other ones tomorrow. This one is 7-17, you guys, so let me know if it's good or bad. I only got part 1.
December 31st, 2024 really changed my life forever.
You guys, remember this one? I don't know if I did this one.
I was really just feeling like my soul was totally disconnected from the place that I lived in and was supposed to call home. My family had spent 8 generations in upstate New York, and they were some of the earliest colonial families to be established here in America. Feeling a calling to get back to my roots, I decided to look into my family history and really learn it inside and out. And I was so amazed at what I found. I was always told my family was from New York and that we had like an apple orchard or something like that. It sounded pretty cool, I guess, but no one really had any details outside of that, no information to go on. So we arrive at New Year's Eve 2024, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Look into your family history and do it now.
It's
So I
okay,
did
you guys?
what anyone would do. I hopped on Google and I typed in the original and correct spelling of our last name. Because somewhere down the line, they had added an extra I to the end of the name. So it changed it from W-I-N-N-E to W-I-N-N-I-E. If you trace my family all the way back, we come from the most northern island in Germany called Sylt. And I think it's pronounced Zult in German. It was part of the Frisian Islands, so our earliest records show Frisian heritage. Win in Frisian means to win or victory. If you go back into some of the old English texts, you'll notice that the spelling for win is spelled W-I-N-N-E. And it kind of makes me wonder, why change it? The first 2 things I discovered when I Googled this stuff was a 1730 oil painting of Adam Wynne by a guy named Peter Vanderlyn. And then a display at the Met in New York City completely dedicated to my family and one of the first homes that they built. These 2 things alone just kind of shocked me. And I started thinking that that's pretty funny that I thought we just had some little orchard in New York. I think the glue that binds my New York family and myself is tied to my great-grandfather. He traveled from New York to Utah via Alaska. His purpose for doing this has always been very mysterious to me. You know, my main questions are, how did this happen and why did this happen? So the story goes that 2 brothers just up and leave their family at 22 and 20 years old to go look for gold in Alaska.
What do you think, Gabe?
The older brother, Leon, was never seen again. On the surface, this story checks out. It was a normal thing to do in the late 1800s. Plenty of men in their 20s were doing it. It was a way to potentially build a bunch of wealth for you and your family for many decades to come. Who wouldn't do that? However, a deep dive into who my family really was reveals that they didn't need any wealth at all, and the family bonds that were being formed in New York in the 1800s were incredibly strong. So I decided to devote the next several months of my life really looking into what actually happened. It made me rethink everything I know about myself and my family. It's pretty wild to see, but we were one of the most successful and wealthy families in American history. But most people have never heard the name because we were systematically destroyed. So why was the name changed? We were farmers, owned and operated successful businesses, sons of liberty, sons of the revolution, militia members. We served in government and in our towns, and just good, honest, and faithful Americans giving everything we had for the country we loved. Our land holdings were so great that they should have taken care of our family for many centuries into the future. I started finding Indian land deeds and land grants showing we own tens of thousands of acres across New York, and potentially even much more than that. Imagine never knowing anything about your bloodline and then finding this.
About less than a minute.
It was a lot to take in.
That by UK? Winnie, Texas?
I came to the realization very quickly that my family was much more important than I knew, and that the misspelling of the family name was put there by design. But who did it?
Okay, I thought that was a history lesson there. I hope that was okay. Kay got me a couple Q videos before we get to Benny. I had the other lady too to play, the older lady.
Looking at it as maybe it's some kind of personal vendetta, but it looks as though Trump is absolutely on a warpath to crush the Obama legacy. Now, the interesting thing about it is while they can say that this is vindictive, they realize that it is necessary to crush that legacy in order to make America great again. The legacy is disastrous. And the problem is in many cases, the Democrats' ideas, they used to sound pretty good. The problem is that they wrapped it up in emotion, and how dare you not want what's best for your fellow American, and everyone deserves. Well, it's one thing to say deserves, but when you decide to take money from one person and give to another, then deserves goes out the window. What am I talking about specifically? I'm specifically talking about Obamacare. Now, most presidents have one piece of legislation that defines their presidency. And if they're lucky, two. Obama really has one that you can think of, a piece of legislation that he was able to push through. And for whatever reason, it's worn his name throughout. Well, probably because it originally started out as the Affordable Care Act. But once people realized that you could not keep your doctor, that you could not keep your insurance plan, that it was going to lower costs by $1,800 per family. In fact, it was going to double and triple people's insurance premiums. At that point, they realized they had a big problem. It was actually more beneficial for them, legacy-wise, to call it Obamacare than to call it by its real name, which was the Affordable Care Act, because it really sounded like a joke. And so Donald Trump not only has the support of the Republicans in the House and the Senate, he also has the support of several members of the House, of the House and the Senate, that are Democrats. Why? Because they realize that this is crippling the American people. They realize that it is putting money in the hands of multi-billion-dollar insurance corporations and conglomerates, making healthcare far too expensive. Now, Trump's idea, take this money and put this money in the hands of the American people, pay the subsidies directly to them, and let them go out in the open market and buy the health insurance that fits their family's needs. Okay, fair enough. I guess I can get behind it. I don't love it. I hope they can kind of make it a little bit more sensical. I just don't know that the idea of taxing me $10 for something that I may or may not need, and then turning around and giving me a portion of that back, I just assume that they cut that, give everyone a tax cut, and we go out and we buy our insurance. But again, that doesn't solve the fact that there will still be a lot of people left without insurance. This is one of those situations where I'll just have to trust that Donald Trump is going to make the best possible decision. Bottom line, as long as Obamacare, it's done. Now, you'll get a lot of Democrats that say, well, Trump's been promising this from the beginning and hasn't done it. He did. He promised to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Hey, Larry.
And in his first
first
act was to do that. Unfortunately, this is when Trump learned the dirty side of politics and the dirty side of Washington. Came down to one vote. Does anybody remember? It did. Came down to one vote, and that was John McCain. John McCain shot it down. He voted against it because he wanted his millionaires and billionaire friends with the insurance industry to continue to get their kickbacks. And unfortunately, it's cost us ever since. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that Trump should go ahead and gut it? Do you guys think that Obamacare should be completely taken off the table and Obama's legacy be dismantled? I'll let you guys be the judge. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Cue video for today. Kay sent me Doug's video. It was 10 minutes. Then I'll play two Vinny's. We'll go from there after that.
All of you. I know that our Justice Department has a lot to work on, a lot of different prongs, but instead of the Epstein files, I wish we were focusing on Alejandro Mayorkas. I think Alejandro Mayorkas is the easiest arrest for this administration to make. So I want you to help me get this message to Trump. I'll show you that we're working on it. Thanks for the Happy Patriots, the Quad Club that watch all 3 videos a day. Quad Club. And here is Twitter calling for Alejandro Mayorkas to step to be arrested. Here's breaking. Do you agree that Alejandro Mayorkas should face treason charges for diverting FEMA funds to assist illegal aliens? Yes or no? Now, I don't know if that was ever confirmed that that is what he did. I know there's an argument over that. Heritage did make that claim. This is the guy calling on Susie Wiles. Where is the arrest warrant for Alejandro Mayorkas? Guys, this would be the easiest case to prove that he lied before Congress when he said that the border was secured, and all the time he was letting illegal aliens in. It's public knowledge. It should be easy to get this guy. He lied every Biden day to America about the border was secure while deliberately letting in thousands of criminals who now threaten the lives of all American citizens. By the way, he was also in on the Butler shooting. That was his botch job. So Tulsi Gabbard I think she needs to develop a case against this guy. He's guilty of violating the constitutional oath to defend America from all foreign and domestic threats. True, that's what they could get him on. He was impeached by the House, and now the Trump administration's, the Justice Department has available all they need to indict him for his lies to Congress, and especially his profound violation of his constitutional oath to protect all of America from foreign threats. By the way, it gets worse than that. This is sent to President of the United States, the Vice President, Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi, the White House, Stephen Miller, and Leavitt, the press secretary. So this is how you try and get stuff in front of Trump. Help get the message out to Trump. Here's C3 also from just a couple hours ago, says the Secret Service knew of a credible threat 10 days before Butler, but did not have the resources, unquote, to protect President of the United States Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Sounds crazy, but the same guy that allowed the invasion of illegals on our border, and therefore is also tied to all of that underage sex trafficking is caused by Mayorkas, was in charge of the Secret Service. And then he just writes one word: treason. That came out today. That's why that made our headline, because I believe we actually have a very good case against him for treason. Now, here's just one little headline. Independent panel issues scathing report on Secret Service and recommends leadership overhaul after the Trump shooting. This was back in October 17th of 1 year ago. So they were saying that they should arrest him. Here's ABC News. This is a new update that just came out today that I had not heard. So it just got added to the regular ABC News updates on Florida that happened live.
Roku's self-serve ads platform. It's easier than ever with Ads Manager. Sign up today.
So tasty, it could make Poseidon switch to a spoon. Holy divine taste from the Greek gods.
It's just this headline, Trump shooting update. The shooter in Butler flew a drone 200 yards, that's just 2 football fields from the site, hours before shooting. They just now released this, that he was playing with a drone. Now here's Grok. When I said, can we get Alejandro Mayorkas? Is he pardoned by Joe Biden? No, President Biden did not pardon Alejandro Mayorkas. While he issued a series of preemptive pardons and commutations in January of this year to family members, Dr. Fauci, General Milley, January 6th committee members and staff, and thousands of other convicted of nonviolent crimes. That's not true. They're not nonviolent. Grok's lying there. There's no mention or evidence of Mayorkas being included. So I believe, why are we going after all these guys where it's hard to get them? Let's get this guy, Trump, on possible Mayorkas arrest. This again is back in July. He was working on it back before the Democrats rolled out the Epstein files to distract him. This is one of the cases that we don't have enough people to pursue this because we're distracted on other stuff. Trump on possible Mayorkas arrest. I'll take a look. That's back in July. President Trump told reporters on Tuesday he would take a look at possibly arresting former Homeland Security Secretary, HSS, Alejandro Mayorkas over his actions during the Biden administration that led to nearly 10 million migrants entering the U.S. illegally. This is all public. We have all the evidence we need. Why, Trump, are we not doing what's obvious? Go after Mayorkas. Does it not benefit him? I don't know. I don't understand. Here's Alejandro Mayorkas lied to Congress when he said that the border was closed. They could get him on that, just on lying to Congress. Not just that. Now, I wanted to show you guys some incredible good news because Epstein files is fake news because people who care about victims want the administration to find victims today. And people that are obsessed with saving them. We need our guys, our FBI, which they are doing right now, saving people's lives. Here's the proof, and I want to end on this incredibly happy story. Remember, Alejandro Mayorkas brought in these sex traffickers, brought in the children, and purposefully lost them, planted them with people that were not their parents. That's what's happening in America today. And they say 300,000 children are taken. So here's Kash Patel. As all these weirdo, fake MAGA, pro-Epstein file people like Thomas Massie are impugning Kash Patel's character, here's Kash Patel actually doing real work, not Scooby-Doo fake work on Epstein files, but saving children's lives today. Kash Patel wrote, today, 122 children were located or recovered across 10 states, children from 23 months old. That's a 2-year-old. They were brought in here 1 year ago under Biden. And they're only 2 now in some creepy weirdo's hands, up to 17 years old. These are prostituted girls, Mexican girls. Great work, FBI, Jacksonville, Florida, and partners. Here's a little video that Jacksonville, Florida FBI put out as part of the Operation Home for the Holidays. They also did Operation Scumbag or something like that was another name they did. FBI Jacksonville and our partners located or recovered 122 children across Florida and in 9 other states ranging in age from 23 months to 17 years old. Portion of these youth disclosed experiences relating to various types of abuse and proximity to other criminal activity. In these types of operations, partnerships are essential. Now, I keep this just released this morning today, a couple hours ago. No other channel will report on this, guys. Not one right-wing channel spokesperson will report on this. Do you know why? They don't care about children or victims. Margie Taylor Greene will not report on this. You do not care. Thomas Massie, you do not care. I don't care who you are. If you're talking about Jews in Israel right now, you don't care. Alex Jones. 150 kids were found last week in Memphis, in my state. Who wants 2-year-olds to be found by Kash Patel, or should he be answering Epstein queries to Thomas Massie? You idiots. I'm furious at this because child suffering actually bothers me. Active today, not 25-year-olds that happened 20 years ago with Epstein. Everyone get your head out of the crack of your tabloid magazine. Real damages, guys. That's why I'm focusing our attention. I want you guys to stay focused. I want to tell all my MAGA people, this is what my audience cares about. This is what the happy patriots are praying about to save these. Lord supernaturally guide the FBI and the CIA to find these kids. Give Kash Patel bravery to deny the wasted time and lies of Epstein files and go save these children. Lord, politics can do good, or it can be stupid. Here's the Jacksonville.
Home for the Holidays was a U.S. Marshals-led initiative in which we went out to try to find missing.
That was just this weekend. These kids are going, 110 kids are going to be home for the holidays instead of stuck in some sweaty trafficker's closet with duct tape around their hands.
Potentially trafficked children and recovered them to bring them back to their families. In these types of operations, partnerships are essential.
Okay, I just want to say that because I see a lot of MAGA people. And again, I don't want to bring it up, but you know, Alex Jones, they're all talking about the race of Kash Patel's girlfriend, which is disgusting. It's just disgusting. Kash Patel did his job. There's people saying he's got to step down. He's got to, oh yeah, Pam Bondi, not enough. You guys are sick. We're saving kids' lives. I reported last week that they were sending FBI agents into Florida, task force to find children. Wanted to give you an update on their scorecard. They found 110 children. Praise God for those kids using Kash Patel and fighting the tabloid culture that wants you to think about Epstein files. And we only mention the Epstein files because it's a stupid waste of time. And we encourage President Trump, number one, arrest Alejandro Mayorkas. He's the cause of 300,000 missing children. It's Alejandro Mayorkas. Get him for treason. Let me know if you agree in the chat below. Should Mayorkas be thrown in prison for treason? Should he be arrested for lying to the Congress?
Okay, that was Doug's video. Yeah, Kay, I just texted you. I got my settings finally back on, so I got my channels back. I got a 4-minute clip before I do the Vinny videos from. You guys hear the news in North Carolina?
Protests over the weekend to push back against the operation.
Madison is in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's got the latest from there for us. Hi, Madison.
Good morning, you guys. The feds are hoping to get as many criminal illegal immigrants off the streets as they can, and they're already making progress with dozens and dozens of arrests since Saturday. And these arrests are happening in several areas around Charlotte, as the mission is to ensure Americans are safe and remove public safety threats, according to DHS. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino says they arrested 81 illegal migrants in just 5 hours, and we're expecting that number to grow significantly. Bavino says most of those arrested have a, quote, significant criminal and immigration history, and he says those crimes range from assault, larceny, hit and runs to DUIs. Here's former Acting ICE Director Ron Vitello. Listen.
They are absolutely going after the worst of the worst. People who are in the country illegally, have a final order of deportation, post-due process, if you will, and have committed other crimes in the United States. Heinous crimes. That's the targeting that is underway.
But many Charlotte residents and local officials say these operations are causing unnecessary fear and uncertainty. As you can see in this video, many people are angry about CBP being here. And on Saturday, hundreds gathered downtown to protest Operation Charlotte's Web. And many of those protesters say immigrants are now living in fear.
I'm a parent. My parent are immigrants. You know, it's not okay having to worry like if they're gonna make it home or not. You know, it's just not okay what they're doing right now.
And there was also a small protest yesterday outside of a local DHS office. We know that 2 people were arrested, but right now it's unclear what for. But as you guys can imagine, things are changing quickly here on the ground, and we're watching it all. Back to you.
All right, Madison, thank you very much.
Okay, that was out of North Carolina. So we will get to
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Sir? That's the way you want to put it.
I don't have some way to put it. That's the way it is. What's the most you ever lost an acquaintance?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Fast forward a couple months, and you may see a Ted Cruz for President sign again in yards across America. Probably not that many yards, but nonetheless, Ted Cruz is planning on running for president in 2028 against the heir de camp, which would be, of course, J.D. Vance, our vice president. If this were a movie, it'd be called Revenge of the Neocons, because the neocons are big mad right now. They're on life support. These are all the people who are constantly offended at everything, lose every election they ever run in, and want to put the interests of other nations above America's interests. And so they should be politically non-functional as a party, non-viable, but nonetheless, they exist, and they're very loud and annoying. Thankfully, not in great numbers, not enough to actually beat a J.D. Vance. But I mean, I guess we'll see here. Ted Cruz sets stage for 2028 run. Ted Cruz is laying the groundwork for a 2028 run against a bid by leaning into his feud with Tucker Carlson. Ted Cruz got so sufficiently humiliated by Tucker Carlson that he's now going to wage a blood war, tribal war against MAGA in order to try and vindicate himself. Sucks, dude. Why Matters by poking fun at Carlson's isolationist foreign policy views, accusing him of anti-Semitism and more. Cruz is putting himself on the collision course with Vice President J.D. Vance, Carlson ally, widely seen as a 2028 frontrunner. The senator is also diving into the issues that are tearing at President Trump's MAGA movement, namely ideological differences over Israel. We have a responsibility, blah, blah, blah. Carlson laughed off Cruz's gambit in a text message to Axios, calling it hilarious Good luck, Carlson said. That's my comment and heartfelt view. Cruz has been going after Carlson relentlessly in recent weeks since Carlson gutted him on his podcast. Sure looks like
Thanks,
Cruz
Night
is
Watch.
taking a passive-aggressive swipe at Trump.
Rachel, yeah, I've been on since
Tucker's
2020.
right to
I
interview
got
whoever he wants.
the big channel back.
Ted Cruz woke, scolding
And,
Donald
let's
Trump.
be
Let
respectful
me
of all
fast forward
that.
to the end here and tell you exactly what's going on. The goal
Time
of
is
all
5
of this,
o'clock
all of it,
during the week.
is to fracture the MAGA base, to lose the midterms, to get Trump impeached so that they can seize power. That's the goal. It's sinister, it's sick, it's grotesque, but that's exactly the op that they are running right now. That's it. They want Trump to fail because Trump hurt their feelings. And just a reminder, Trump's really good at that when it comes to Ted Cruz, because this is what President Trump did to Ted Cruz during the debates.
Matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
Biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
All right.
This guy lied. Let me just tell you, this guy lied about Ben Carson when he took votes away from Ben Carson in Iowa. And he just continues. This guy will say anything. Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
All right, John, I get to respond.
Pick
from the buffet there.
He's a nasty guy. Why do you lie?
Donald,
Why do you
adults
lie?
learn not to interrupt you.
Why do you lie?
Donald learned.
Pushed him.
Donald, adults learn not to interrupt you.
Yeah, I know. You're an adult.
Before we talk Abbott Big Ten blood drive ideas, let's get in the competitive spirit with the scavenger hunt. I worked all weekend on that.
Save lives and help win your school $1 million.
It's okay. It's in your nature.
Every month, this Airbnb pays me about $2,700 in semi-passive income. Now, here's the thing.
You're talking about the polls. I'm beating him awfully badly in the polls.
But you're not beating Hillary.
So you're not
beating Hillary.
Well, then if I can't beat her, you're really going to get killed, aren't you? He
This is
can't
so
do it for the
typical.
obvious reason, and he
But
can't do
here's
it
the
because
typical
he
thing he
doesn't
does.
know how to tell the truth. Other than that, I rest my case.
This is the typical thing he does.
You've been funding liberal Democratic politicians, and by the way,
I funded you.
The
I
reason
funded him.
You're welcome to have the check back.
I funded this guy.
Because let's
I
be
gave him
clear.
a check.
Yeah,
I
you
gave
gave me
him a check.
$5,000.
Go ahead.
Donald, you can get back on
Having
your
a
meds
lot of
now.
fun up here tonight, I have to tell you. Thank you for the book. I really appreciate it.
Donald, relax.
Go ahead. I'm relaxed. You're the basket case. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get nervous. Go ahead.
I promise you, Donald, there's nothing about you that makes anyone nervous.
You're losing so badly.
watching this.
You don't know what's happening.
I miss him. Bring him back. Bring him back. Bring him back. I'm not a lib. I don't need some kind of air up. Yeah, I don't need some appointment, like what they did with Kamala, some crowning, some warped diseased temple crowning of some prince or princess. Good. Let them fight it out. I love it. Let them fight it out. I'm pro this. Now, fighting it out is obviously what Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz did in that famous interview. And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go well for them, obviously. We've already seen what Ted Cruz, Howard Friedman, Mark Levin versus J.D. Vance and Tucker Carlson look like. And J.D. Vance did really well in the Ohio Senate GOP primary. Vance won by 10 points here, according to the neocon, against the neocon candidate. There you go. Cruz is free to run. I'm not sure he has a chance. Ted Cruz never recovered from his interview with Tucker Carlson. Right after President Trump said, "You can't tell Tucker Carlson who to interview," Ted Cruz says, "We have a responsibility to speak out against Trump." Oh boy. Okay. Lion Ted coming back. Lion Ted.
Chico.
Ted Cruz will lose the 2028 primary. He has no chance against J.D. Vance.
Almost
That's not the
done,
point.
Chico.
The point is to destroy MAGA.
20 minutes left. 20 minutes.
Ted Cruz is the one who got destroyed by Tucker Carlson in a unbelievable interview here. Ted Cruz laying the groundwork for 2028. Cruz is endearing himself to powerful pro-Israel donors, many of whom aligned with Nikki Haley. Oh, okay. Here's Tucker versus Ted Cruz on Iran.
Especially foreign government. Okay. I'm asking about your allegation and the Prime Minister of Israel's allegation that Iran is trying to murder the president.
Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect America. And so killing Osama bin Laden was a fantastic
But you don't
day
really
for the
believe
world.
that they're trying to murder Trump, or you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Then why aren't you calling for military action against Tehran right now?
Because they're not very effective. In terms of hitmen, their hitmen are not very effective. I do think...
So they're hitmen, but not the bad kind, the efficient kind?
No,
what are you saying?
They're a weak country who is on its knees, and I think we need to...
Then why are we so afraid of them? Why are they the biggest threat if they're a weak country that's on its knees?
Because they're trying...
I'm trying to keep track.
They're trying to develop...
5 minutes on this one.
Be a little less snarky.
I know, you're right. That is a problem that I have. I'm sorry.
They're trying to develop nuclear weapons. They are close to developing nuclear weapons. And even a weak country with a nuclear weapon. Look, I believe there is a very real possibility if the Ayatollah develops a nuclear weapon that he would detonate it either in Tel Aviv or New York or Los Angeles. And that would be utterly catastrophic. And I don't know what the chances are of that. Let me compare and contrast Iran to North Korea.
Wait, can I just ask one last question about trying to kill the president? Yes. You sincerely believe, you promise, that right now the Iranian government is trying to murder our president?
Yes.
You sincerely believe right now?
Absolutely.
And yet you are not calling for military action against the government that's trying to murder our president. Can you explain that?
I don't think they're very effective. I do think we should, by the way, America is...
You're willing to take that risk?
I think we should protect the president and we should take out our enemies.
Well,
Israel is doing that right now.
But aren't they? Why would we outsource it to Israel if they're trying to?
Your first question was, why are you for regime change? That's a pretty good example of why I'm for regime change.
Okay, so you're saying we should just go in and take out the government of Iran. Why would we outsource it to Israel if they're trying to murder a president? Okay, you sound like the isolationist.
What I'm saying on any military judgment is there needs to be a cost-benefit analysis of what are the risks versus what are the benefits. In this instance, I think it is enormously in America's interest to do what Israel is doing right now, take out Iran's senior military leadership and take out their nuclear capacity. That is benefiting America, and it is a good risk reward. I would oppose.
Here's Tucker versus Ted Cruz on.
Get in the game with Fanatic Sportsbook and get 10 days of no sweat bets up to $200 in fan cash daily. Plus, earn up to 10% fan.
Israel. Ooh. Get ready.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible.
What state
those
are you
who bless
from?
Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible.
Okay, they put that thing up there top. I can't play Tucker Carlson. I don't know why they don't let me play Tucker. I had to turn it off. So we'll get another one here. He has. I'm not going to be able to play Tucker bidding tonight. I'll get these other ones in.
In our hemisphere, why did the Brits cut their former intelligence sharing relationship with us in this area? The British offshore havens in the Caribbean are infamous for drug money laundering. Those who know call them the Caribbean branch of the Bank of England. So you're seeing a big pushback from the drug trade and the British imperial sponsors. Their fake news line this week, they say the president is about to engage us in another forever war by wiping out the drug trade. Makes a lot of sense for me. A U.S. surveillance mission and covert ops mission followed by military action endangers both the covers for British operations and their operatives themselves. So the problem isn't an intention to cover up any aspect of this conspiracy. It's the Senate's insane blue slip policy, which is holding up judicial appointments and U.S. attorney appointments necessary for these cases to proceed. So you can see that President Trump has launched a multi-point attack on central institutions of the modern British financial empire. That's why the attacks on him revved up to such a high pitch over the last 2 weeks. Now, let's talk about the problem with the economy. Here is J.D. Vance talking last night about the affordability crisis many Americans are still experiencing because of the hangover from Biden's economic disaster.
I know that there are a lot of people out there, Sean, who are saying things are expensive. And we have to remember they're expensive because we inherited this terrible inflation crisis from the Biden administration. But you've already seen signs that things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down, that starts to filter out into the entire economy. But that also takes a little bit of time. There's another component of this, Sean, which to me is maybe the most important because I care so much about our young people being able to afford a good life. A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs. We're also getting all of those illegal aliens out of our country, and you're already seeing it start to pay some dividends.
The problem we have ahead of the midterms is not that Trump isn't on the right track. It is that there are very few Republican congressmen or senators who have a clue about the American system economics that Trump administration is practicing. They are wedded to British free trade doctrines. They believe, like the majority at the British-centered Federal Reserve, that tariffs lead to higher prices and inflation. Some of them, tied to the big bucks Koch brothers Americans for Prosperity, are out to destroy Trump in 2026. But even some Fed economists have recognized the error of their ways. A team at the San Francisco Fed took an honest look at historical data and reported back last week that tariffs actually lower inflation. Persistent devotion to failed economic models had led others to the worst and wrong conclusion. The San Francisco Fed team, however, did not acknowledge the main reason for the president's tariff and trade policy. We have to drag manufacturing and supply chains back to the United States if we are to survive and lead as a nation. That's the only way young Americans can have a terrific future. Promethean Action's main mission now and into the midterms is to cure this potentially fatal ignorance of Republican candidates through our videos, our writings, and our classes. The toolkit on our website is a start on this project. We need to expand it and grow our video briefings and written articles at the same time. Doing so obviously requires financial support, and I hope you will donate as much as you can today. The link is in the description.
So yeah, I watched that lady's good. Everybody likes her. And this other lady on TikTok is good. Plays 3-minute videos. This one's 5 minutes though, she has.
Of the Golden State. God help us all, because Swalwell, he sure won't.
Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell is eyeing a new gig, governor of California. The news could be made official as soon as next week. If so, it will come as multiple outlets report the Trump administration referred Swalwell for a federal criminal investigation.
Oh, they absolutely did. The DOJ is now digging into whether Eric Swalwell cooked the books on a mortgage application for his swanky $1.2 million DC mansion. But here's the thing. He's cooked either way. If Swalwell claims that place as his primary residence, which he does in DC, then he's openly thumbing his nose at the constitutional residency rules for representing California. He must have a home in California. And since he doesn't, by the rules, he should be kicked out of Congress. But if he wants to insist California is his actual home base, well then congratulations, folks. We've got mortgage fraud on our hands. Also, public records, they show zero trace of Swalwell owning or renting a home in California. This clip, remember this one? Makes a lot more sense now. Watch this.
Will you, director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
The Fang Fang Flingin' fiasco is toast. And speaking of getting cooked, Fani Willis just took another gut punch she's not going to forget. Feast your eyes on this one.
On another front, just a few moments ago, the judge overseeing President Trump's
Georgia election interference case. The president's been charged with lots of crimes in that case. It's all on hold because he's president. The president has immunity, but the judge today dismissed 3 of the charges from that Fonnie Willis prosecution. Meanwhile, a new prosecutor has been named there as well. So that case is getting a new look and a new thing. I would not be surprised if in a few months you see prosecutors go to the judge and say, I want to reverse this case, but we'll see where that has. But meanwhile, the judge dismissed 3 charges in the case today, a sign that maybe more is added.
Now, in case you forgot, this is the case where Willis was disqualified after her affair with Nathan Wade came to light. So will it survive, or will it just join the graveyard of Democrat witch hunts? I guess you'll have to stay tuned to find out. And this is wild. Workers at the Texas federal prison camp holding Ghislaine Maxwell just got fired for leaking emails where Maxwell raved about her cushy digs at federal prison camp Bryan. Clean kitchen, polite staff, no possums raining from the ceiling apparently, which begs the question, what the heck was happening in Tallahassee? But here's where it gets political. Maxwell's attorney is crazy mad that Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin, who moonlights as a full-time law professor and part-time drama queen, got his hands on those emails and blasted them to the public. In a scorcher of a statement, her attorney wrote in part, quote, the release to the media by Congressman Raskin of Miss Maxwell's privileged client-attorney email correspondence with me is as improper as it is a denial of justice. His action should be a matter for professional disciplinary action. There have been appropriate consequences already for employees at federal prison camp Bryan. They have been terminated for improper, unauthorized access to the email system used by the Federal Bureau of Prisons to allow inmates to communicate with the outside world. Now, she basically goes on to say this is a breach of Maxwell's First, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, the ones all prisoners are afforded to, and calls Raskin's actions shocking and reprehensible. NBC News, they published the emails on November 8th. Then Raskin fired off a letter to President Trump claiming a whistleblower told him that Maxwell was prepping a commutation request. Maxwell's lawyer calls that garbage, absolute fiction, she says. Instead, she's gearing up to file something in federal court based on new evidence that could flip her trial. We'll see if that holds water. Here's Raskin trying to justify his move on MSNBC.
All they're saying is that somehow they know, and this is very strange to me, that there are employees who've been fired because of what they've done. I'm curious how they would know that. That sounds like a breach of whatever those employees' personnel records are. But in any event, this is her claim that these people were fired because of what they did. The allegation seems to be that her attorney-client privilege was somehow compromised in the TrueLink system. When the inmates log on in the system, they have to click a whole statement that they consent to this being reviewed by the prison, and there's a statement that there is no attorney-client privilege or confidentiality that attaches to them. So we're, of course, not saying where we got any information that we received, and it may not even be from the people that she's talking about.
Okay. One more video. We got a lot out tonight, I thought. So this one. Thought I had. Okay, this is the one. That was 505, and this
say it looks more like a witch hunt. If your big gotcha is that Maxwell's prison life is better than Florida's, you're probably on the losing side. But then again, we know Democrats are all about transparency and, of course, honesty.
Sunlight, of course, is the best disinfectant. And we've maintained from the very beginning that the American people just deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to the Epstein files.
Funny how that works, because all the Democrats seem to do is lie. Case in point, this gem they dropped on X. It reads, quote, new documents show Donald Trump spent Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. At the time, Trump was already president and Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. Well, that post was quickly deleted, which tells you everything you need to know. Another swing and a miss in their desperate smear campaign against President Trump. But who did dine with Epstein? Oh, Katie Couric, the so-called journalist who claims ignorance is bliss.
The strangest part of going to a dinner party at Jeffrey Epstein's house.
I didn't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein at the time. And it was super weird. What can I say? And the person I was with said, did you notice how young the girls were who were taking the coats? And I said, I really didn't. But of course, later we found out everything about him. But yeah, I was invited to it, and I should have done a little more research. But a lot of the stuff about him hadn't come out yet.
A lot hadn't come out? Except the fact Epstein was a convicted sex offender by 2008, served time, and was released 18 months before this dinner. Katie's I don't know defense is about as believable as a Biden press conference. Nobody's buying it, and nobody should. Now, here's another kicker. Back in 2015, when Trump was a candidate, he was the one who called out the Clinton-Epstein connection. Watch this and ask yourself while you're watching it, why would someone with something to hide shine a spotlight on it? Take a look.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many
The
times.
Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know them.
Friendly, you know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem.
If Trump were guilty of what the left wishes, he'd be hiding it deeper than Hunter Biden's laptop in an FBI vault. And let's not forget, the Epstein victims themselves cleared the president.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No. They're not alone. Here's former New York Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCarthy vouching for Trump.
I'm for transparency. I think all the files should be released. But let me be clear. I know from personal experience that Donald Trump has never had a taste for inappropriately young girls. In the 1990s, when I was lieutenant governor, Donald Trump and I double dated. I was dating my future husband, Wilbur Ross. He was dating his future wife, Marla Maples. We called her Peaches. We would go to the fights in Atlantic City. We would go out to nightclubs, plenty of hot spots. And I never saw Donald Trump behave inappropriately with anybody young like that. So I think that all of those records should be just released.
What more evidence do Democrats need? Biden released nothing because there was nothing to release. Trump booted Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate behavior. The victims say Trump was never involved, and yet the Democrats keep digging their way into a grave. Well, Trump's now turning the tables. The president writing on Truth Social, quote, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. Trump's initial stance was caution. He wanted to protect the names of people that have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein, but not necessarily involved in the criminal behavior. He's worried the media will just slander every name in that file, regardless of their involvement. But now, it's game on. Let's see which party takes the biggest hit. My money? It's on the Democrats, who've turned Epstein into their latest obsession while ignoring their own skeletons. Well, up next, if you missed my latest video, check it out. John Fetterman leaves CNN's Dana Bash absolutely speechless when he drops all these facts on which party is more hateful. Plus, Jen Psaki, she gets herself caught in lawsuit territory on live television. And I've also got an update on Congresswoman LaMonica McIver's case regarding her physical altercation outside an ICE facility in New Jersey. Remember when she was pushing and shoving and trying to get in? Yeah, the judge isn't liking what he's saying.
Okay. That's going to wrap things up. That's 2 hours right on the button there. So the 1 minute, we'll get Chico famous here. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Say hi to Ariella. You want your treat, don't you? Huh? Oh, monster. Oh, you stop for a minute. I'm gonna get you. All right. That was Chico, the wild monster, after dude died. So, yep, thank you guys, Kay, and the new people. I watch 5 o'clock. Between 4:30, 5 o'clock. I get it set for 5. So, stay safe, stay strong. Keep the faith. Oh, I got to start over. Please hit like and stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and never give up. Never give up. Signing off, Chico and Noon till tomorrow night.